Okay, let's talk about abortion. Is abortion murder? Yes, yes it is. Abortion is the killing of babies. Does that mean it should be made illegal though? Well, you see, the solution to that, or the answer to that is not as clear as a lot of people make it seem. You see, because there are several perspectives here. Mainly there are two perspectives. Look at it from the perspective of a state. What does abortion do for a state? Abortion helps prevent socio-economic problems, right? The kind of problems that arise from unwanted children, you know, kids who can't be taken care of properly, kids who wind up relying on food stamps and other such things. You don't want that as a state. You know, unfortunately, the American establishment does want that, which is why they're promoting abortion. But look, we'll get into that later. You don't want those kind of things, you know, because there are ramifications to children being born to parents who don't love them, or to children being born to parents who can't take care of them. Because humanity, as a collective society, has grown and grown well because of one thing primarily. That is the preservation of life, right? And the importance given to life. Okay, this is one thing liberals like to go on and on about. They like to say human life is important, you know, a life is priceless. And yet simultaneously they want to go around advocating for the murder of babies, you know, such fucking hypocrites. But anyways, human life is important. And as far as a society is concerned, as far as the people within the society is concerned, that virtue needs to be upheld. The idea that human life is important needs to be upheld. And something like abortion counteracts that state of mind as far as society is concerned collectively. In order for a society to flourish and to flourish well, a society must take care of itself. That is, the people within the society need to sustain one another. And a paradigm of such sustenance cannot coexist with things like abortion, because abortion is disregard for human life. That is what it is. So despite the fact that abortion is something which can be helpful to a society, that's something that the states have to deal with. That's their concern, you know. And whether or not you as an individual have an issue with aborting your baby because you feel you've killed a human being and you don't know where that puts you with God, etc., etc., all those things have nothing to do with the state. That's your problem. And the state should know that is your problem, which is why abortion isn't really an issue for them. They can legislate it, they can allow it, and it won't affect the state. But you see, it affects society. Long term, it affects society in the sense that it changes the way they start thinking. And from there, you could make the argument that individuals who aren't helpful can be euthanized. Old people, for example. You know, this is something that was happening in Nazi Germany. People were declared human waste because they were mentally ill or they couldn't function properly as human beings. You see. So ultimately, that is where the paradigm of legislating abortion will lead. So it has its pros and cons, but really it's not a good thing. You also have to understand that abortion is something which was deliberately established in African American communities for the purpose of preventing them from growing. Look, I've made videos about this before. Videos talking about the senseless and irrational hatred white supremacists have against Africans. It's absurd. Because of that kind of hatred, they go to the extent of wiping out or trying to wipe out Africans. And Margaret Sanger established Planned Parenthood only for that reason. She didn't want African Americans to reproduce. She didn't want that. You know, if she had her way, she'd wipe them all out immediately. But she understood that it was something which had to be done gradually. Personally, what do I think of abortion? I don't agree with abortion. I don't think it's right at all. And some people go around making the argument that, you know, that certain women are raped and they need to be able to abort their children, etc. Look, these are examples from the fringes of statistical analysis, right? How many women really are being raped and made pregnant as a result of their rapists? Sure, look, you could say one instance of that is bad enough. True. But should one instance or a few instances allow for a change which will affect everybody else? No, of course not. The needs of the many do outweigh the needs of the few. That is a fact. If it was the other way around, society could not grow. It wouldn't be possible. So it sucks that some women are being raped and made pregnant by the men whom they rape. But then again, that is an argument for abortion. It is. You know, if that woman wants to keep the child of her rapist, she can, but she probably won't want to. And I think she's justified in aborting the baby. But that doesn't mean abortion is something which should be legislated. You see, there's a gray area here. So a state can legislate abortion, you know, especially now that it's already been legalized. Making it illegal would cause problems. You know, once people have had something, taking that something away causes issues. You know, the process of the process of establishing something within a society is always gradual. It always takes time. And the process of removing it as well has to take time. It has to be done slowly, but you can't just do it, else you'll have issues. Another thing is, abortion being removed will have to be supplemented by something else. Once you remove abortion, you allow for the socioeconomic problems that arise from unwanted children to become an issue. Right? That will become an issue if you just remove abortion. So abortion being removed must be supplemented with something. It must be supplemented with a societal change that facilitates the lack of abortion while preventing the development of the kind of issues that abortion solves. But of course, the state isn't going to do that. The state would never remove abortion and then ensure that a society can function properly without abortion. It is very useful for them, for the state that is, to have certain populations of people rely on food stamps and to be financially impoverished and all these kinds of things. You know, in such an instance, and in such communities, abortion is a good thing. If you took abortion away from such communities, those problems would be magnified. But you need to understand that it's kept that way deliberately. Those problems need to be put in place in order for you to justify abortion being placed there. This is why in so many poor communities, abortion is something people don't want to do without, because it helps the communities there. It helps them, but the problems facing them are being placed there deliberately, because you can, in fact, take abortion away without having, a rapid surge in population or a significant increase in unwanted pregnancies. You can't do that. It depends on how the people function. And how the people function is determined by what you feed them through the media, what you teach them in schools, what they learn from other people. So in short, abortion is a bad thing. It's a very bad thing. It's the senseless slaughter of babies. Unfortunately, however, this senseless slaughter is being justified by problems that are being caused by the state. It's funny that way. Tell me what you guys think.